order. We have a single item. This is not our regular meeting, so we convene to discuss a single item. We've been talking about our superintendent search, and for us to be able to go to that next step and be able to send out flyers, we need to finalize some aspects of the posting. So we just wanted to quickly have that conversation and wrap it up. We have Carol, we have Jen Bartos, and we have Audrey Shudak, who are on that committee. So would it be awkward for me to turn it to you all to drive this part?
So, Emery, I am not on the committee. I help.
You are not. Okay, so
coordinate the committee.
All right. So
and I
then
support the committee, but I'm not on the committee.
Okay.
I am on it with Audrey.
You are?
And
okay. Sorry
yeah,
then.
Yep.
Okay.
No, that's okay. No, that's okay.
Cool. All right. So we have 3 representatives on that committee. So would you mind driving the conversation?
Sure. Do you mute me? So we have met.
We're used to it. That's okay.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Seat time, just in case you're wondering. So we have met as a committee 2 times already. We have completed our flyer except for the one area in which we need to insert and decide upon the superintendent salary. I feel like the meetings are going well. Adam, feel free to jump in. We're staying on schedule and on time. We are meeting again next Wednesday. Carol, thank you for that email that you forwarded. Tracy did actually respond to me very quickly as well to my additional questions about where we're sending the information for applicants. Is it going to them or us? But basically it's our decision. I don't know if that's a decision that we should probably make before or sooner rather than later, I guess.
Decision.
But she is leaving it up to us.
What is the decision?
Whether or not we are sending the confidential information to Tracy for Tracy basically to compile and then give it to us, or are we compiling it ourselves?
Okay.
So
yeah, well, based on my conversations with them, I think they were open to doing that because sometimes it can be drawn out process. You have to you may have to have some experience, but doesn't mean that it cannot be done by the committee itself. So she probably, was.
As I understood it, she is not necessarily vetting anything. She's just compiling.
Right. Yeah, but it depends on how many. Oh, she's only compiling, meaning what then?
Collecting them.
Putting them in a folder.
Oh, okay. So there's, yeah. So who's doing the filtering, the initial screening? Who's going to be doing that?
Sounds like the committee is.
Okay, then that's all good. The compiling is really nothing. It's just basically who's going to receive it, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and yeah. So that's the big deal. So is the salary range the only missing component from the posting as well? Yes.
At this point, it was that, and then whether or not we were having Mass compile the information or not, or whether we were going to, and that kind of came up as a quick question we were hoping to have answered by today. The answer is obviously now we can have Mass do it, or we can do it. And we want to get this posting out before we meet again as a committee, so we might end up just trying. Adam, thoughts on that going forward? And
yeah, so it's tough because we built a projected schedule on getting this posting out. I think by Monday, right? We wanted to publish the posting.
Yes.
Will there be any posting on Monday? If it's an official holiday, so.
On Tuesday.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I think we did mention that at one point. But then we had also said actually that it shouldn't matter because didn't we have said that when we talked about that?
So time-wise, it shouldn't matter whether someone will actually post it on Monday because it's a holiday is something we should discuss, but timing wise it doesn't, or legality wise it doesn't matter. But I think Emery's saying, will somebody be able to post it for us since Monday's a holiday?
Exactly. And the other thing, to clarify, Audrey, when you say before we meet next, are you referring to the school, the superintendent search committee or school committee?
The next superintendent search committee meeting is on Wednesday, and we would like to get the posting out Monday. So I was hoping to have a
That's good.
clear answer before then, but
And the
So-
posting going out, does it mean that it will be posted on the MASC website or other websites?
That's my
or is it that-
understanding.
is there still a traditional element to it, the way we used to do and post it on certain?
as of right now, MASC has that Granby is pending, going to be looking, so it's already kind of on there. So I'm assuming that'll
Okay.
just be replaced with the actual
Right.
application or the
thank you.
flyer. Am I misspeaking that, Adam? Is that as you understood it as well?
Yeah, yep.
And Jen, feel free to jump in too if you're hearing us.
Also, Allie's on too. I think she might be a 10D, but she's on as well in case we're missing something if Allie wants to chime in. But that's all accurate so far, Audrey.
So what I understood Tracy was going to do is, all the applications would go there. So, rather than trying to figure out who you want them sent to, if you want them, sent to the superintendent's office, that's fine. I can, leave them and then you can, pick them up. I mean, at some point, we're going to have to scan them so that we can share them with the committee members, so there's some of that work too. I don't know if Tracy talked about putting them in a Dropbox. Is that what she said to you, Audrey?
I don't want to misquote, so now I feel like I want to really triple check.
That's what she said, was she'd put them in a Dropbox for us. And
Yes.
so I'm assuming if she does that, then, that might make the most sense, because then she can scan and put in the Dropbox, and then we just have to share the Dropbox with our subcommittee.
She is eliminating at least one step, which is nice.
So the decision is MASC receiving it and scanning it? Is that what it is?
I don't know if it needs to be up to a vote. This is where I'm not sure on this committee piece. Can just two of us make that decision as Jen
Yeah,
and
you
I
can.
are
I'm just
are
trying to
co-chairing?
understand,
You know what I mean?
is that the most convenient?
Sounds
based on the
good.
Conversation. Okay,
I agree.
cool. So now let's go back to the salary range. Was there any discussion so far? Any thoughts, recommendation, just to let everybody, if anybody watches this, everybody know that we have a document that shows the salaries across Western Massachusetts. And that document shows the size of the school district, the superintendent's highest degree, and how long they've been on the job. Is that what it is? Or, yeah. So certain pieces of information that would help. So based on that, was there any discussion, anything that you're bringing to us, or is this supposed to be?
Not in our
fully-
committee. We didn't have the document before
Okay.
then.
All right. So do you want me to chime in very quickly?
Sure.
So looking at that document, what I am seeing is that except for one school district, the range for school districts similar to us is close to the range, 125 to 135. Is that what we want to include in the posting in the flyer range, or is there, is the approach to have a single number and phrase it in such a way that it doesn't come across that we're offering that regardless of the circumstance? It's
do
going to be
think it would-
Go ahead.
I do think it should be arranged, but I was hoping to hear more from Adam on his side of things. I mean, yes, it's great to look at these ranges and look at what other people are getting, but
So I would definitely agree with a range. Only one of the personal things, like when looking for jobs, I hate the postings that either don't say it or upon negotiation or don't have any number. So my personal opinion, I would say we should put a range. I think the 125 to 135 range is a pretty accurate range for us to post it at. So I would be comfortable if we were going to go for a range. I would be comfortable with that with that range in my, my opinion.
Anyone else? Jen, Stephanie, Jen.
I would
I
also
agree with a range.
I would also just, again, in my opinion, you gotta kind of keep in mind the candidates that we're gonna attract to this job really is probably going to be someone that's up and coming in this position, right? So we want to make it attractive enough where it's enticing, but not too high or not too low either way. So I just want to keep that in mind. The candidates will be attracting. Keep that in mind when we set that range. But again, I think the 125 to 135 range is a pretty accurate and pretty good range to put on the posting, in my opinion.
And I have a question. When we put in this range and then it's for a 3-year contract, is it renegotiated after year 1, or is it the same salary for the initial first contract?
So typically, no. Typically, especially with a superintendent, it should be goal-driven or some type of performance-driven increase each year, or a set increase each year. But it wouldn't be the same amount. Typically, wouldn't be the same amount for each of the 3 years. There would be, if they negotiated it the right way, they should negotiate some type of increase for each of the next 2 years.
Okay, I just wanted that clarification. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, good question.
So again, though, to be clear, right, that doesn't necessarily mean they would get an increase. If they negotiate or we negotiate some type of performance base or some type of percent increase where it's reliant on data, and obviously they don't meet those benchmarks or something, they might not get an increase. But I would assume in negotiations there would be something like that built into the contract.
Right, there are many factors that drive that conversation. It may or may not happen, but the range that we're talking about is going to be the starting, and then whenever the school committee agrees to give a raise, it would go up, and it doesn't have to be for the entire duration of the contract. So that was a good question. So Jen, Bartos, you're good with that range as well? Yes?
I'm mute.
Okay.
Yes, sorry. Yes,
That's fine.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm good with that range. It's actually kind of what I had in mind. I think that
Cool.
seems good.
All right, thank you. And Jamila, you said, I think you were in
Yeah.
agreement with that
Yeah.
too. Stephanie, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think the range is good. I like seeing a number on the flyer. Definitely holds a little more something to it. So I would agree with that.
Okay, great. Now, Audrey, I think I made an assumption that you were good with that too, but just to hear from you, that's good?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just vote it and be done with it. So we'll post the new superintendent position with a estimated range of $125,000 to $135,000 in for salary. Is that what we want to do?
Emery, I'll make the motion to do the superintendent salary range from 125 to 135.
All right, thank you, Audrey. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, discussions, clarifications? Okay.
Emery, am I able to make a comment?
Go ahead, yeah.
Not that it'll change anything that you just approved, but back in 2015, the salary for the superintendent, granted there is a few years in here, was 134. I'm concerned about, some of those applicants and deterring some of them. And I know it's I was thinking, I was hopeful for, you know, the range extended to 140, but I know you just approved it, but I'm just looking at the 2015 salary at 134 and just feel this range isn't.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Ally. My response to that would be those were earned levels. So the superintendent was in position, and after multiple raises, they just got to that point. And this, you know, obviously salary is a big driver in people's decision to, you know, to apply or not to apply for certain positions. But given that, you know, when we'll look at that range and we'll look at some of the school districts that are similarly sized, I think at least to start the conversation that I would personally consider a reasonable range. But
Yeah,
you're making a good point, and absolutely that's what it is. I mean, people look at the salary. If they don't agree with it, they will not apply. But, you know, as a school district, we also have to, you know, keep in mind where we are financially, how big we are, and, you know, what we have done in the past, you know, as practice. The number that you shared is correct. Again, just to clarify, that was after a while. Thank you
I
for
thought
that.
you were saying that our range 5 years ago went up to 134.
We don't
Not what-
really we don't change ranges. This conversation comes up only when we go out for you know, for searches. So we have to really typically we have to provide some guidance, and that's when we have these conversations. We don't keep this range going forward. In other words, just, you know, somebody hopefully comes in, we're not going to discuss ranges in the next, you know, every year.
Emery, I
just-
think she's saying that was the range on the flyer last time in 2015.
No, last time actually, the salary, as I remember, was $130,000.
So there wasn't a range last time we,
That's why I was asking. I don't think there was a range. I think there was. I don't even remember how it was worded, and I couldn't find it. But I think $130,000 was mentioned in there.
And I would just say, Nemra, you touched on this a little bit. I mean, the range, while we certainly would like to find and hire someone within that range, it's some guidance. You know, it gives us, it can start the conversation. If we, you know, someone applies that might be worth a little more than that, obviously we have that discussion. Yeah. But the range, you know, that for this part, at least for the application, that range, I think is sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, just I'm going back to the list, and I don't know if I should mention people's salaries. I don't know if this is public information or not. Is it? I'm assuming it might be. Carol or Audrey, what we're looking at. But, you know, one of the neighboring larger districts with 1,900 students and the PhD, the superintendent, you know, is showing $138,000 salary. And they have more school buildings than we do. So, reiterating what Adam said. Go ahead. You're on mute.
as I understand it, Emery, though, the one you're looking at, because they even have, like, I think they're including, I'm confused by that one, because don't they have an interim right now?
They might have it, but what I'm saying is that really, you know, just if we should not compare ourselves with some of these school districts that have, you know, larger, you know, larger enrollment numbers, multiple schools. You know, some of them I think are, you know, regional schools. So we have to keep in mind, you know, we can't really compare ourselves to, say, a Westfield, right, with 5,000 plus students in their district. And even then, when I look at that salary, I think that the range that we talked about will be reasonable when we see the qualifications of the candidates and what point in that range they may fall. So I'm personally comfortable, but I'm open to any suggestions. And I think every school committee member said that they were comfortable with that. And we have a motion and a second for that. Is that correct? Carol?
I just wanted to let you know, on the 2015 flyer, the range was 120 to 130.
Okay.
I think what Ally was saying is that we might have hired at 134. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I'm not sure. I think maybe that's where that number came into play.
No, I think that is, at that point, the salary, superintendent's salary may have been that number. But again, if that is the case, 2015, before, Cheryl came on board, that would reflect the changes, the increases to that superintendent's salary as well. Then we went a little back and then it went a little up, right? So that's what I'm saying. That's why it makes, I did not even recall the range, but I remember the 130. But I think it makes sense to start with a range, and our range is reasonably, adjusted higher than what we had a few years ago. So, and compares nicely to the other districts that we are seeing on that sheet. So with that, there was a motion and a second. Any last questions, comments? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, unanimously approved. So I think that takes care of that. Anything else, school superintendent search committee members? Is there anything else that we should be discussing, since we left the item more generic than just the salary? Is there anything that we need to finalize so that you can post before your next meeting?
I don't
Not that
think
I'm
so.
aware of, but Jen?
I don't think so. I think this was it. I mean, we've got our committee is pretty happy with our flyer. The only piece of information we were missing was this, and
Awesome.
so we can add this. And we've determined that they're going to go to Tracy, and so I think we just need to add that, and we can send it to her tonight. So maybe she can get it tomorrow, and we can be posted.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for that. I really, appreciate you volunteering for that work, and we'll look forward to seeing the flyer, the posting, and then moving as quickly as possible in this process. So that basically wraps it up for this meeting. As I mentioned earlier, if anybody joined late, this was a single agenda item that we wanted to resolve before our next regular meeting, which is on next Tuesday. We'll see everyone then. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.
Thank you,
Oh,
everyone.
actually, hold on. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I'll make that motion too.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Now have a wonderful